it's MK, and I am here with another Baby Got Scraps layout for you guys today. And today I am sharing a couple photos that I have of this British tank that was brought in to the, oh my gosh, the Ordnance Museum. I apologize, I forgot the word. And it was just rolled in that day. So they didn't have anything set up, no plaque about it, nothing. They just barely got it plugged in, so you could see all the bells and whistles, and that was it. So on my little tray above, I had these little tickets that were left over from one of my boxes of the month. And then on another tray that was kind of underneath my laptop, I found this a label type thing, patch that I took off of one of my daughter's belts. Also on that little tray, I had these little stars and one of my leather pieces that says strong. I have this sticker sheet that I had found in my scrap box while I was cleaning it out, and it's from Craft Warehouse. I have no idea where I got this sticker piece, but I think that's the date from 3/15. They're super, super thin. Okay, and then from that adorable little envelope that Susan had created for my birthday, I pulled out all of these treasures right here. I've got some curly Q paper clips, some twine over a viewfinder, a cute little envelope, some measuring tapes, and this pretty cool numbers paper. And then from, I believe it was the November's monthly box, I have that orange film strip. I love this close to my heart paper. It was called Victory. I have the camouflage on one side, and that plaid is just gorgeous. So this Tim Holtz piece is actually not a scrap, but it is smaller than 12 by 12, and I really want to somehow use up those gears in the middle, but yet use the whole piece. So I'm still trying to figure that out. From Minte Garage, I have this awesome diamond plate print. This is from Stampin' Up, and it's a printed vellum that's got all of these, pretty much not legible words on it. And then this is from a paper pad from Park Lane. I do not remember which one that it actually is from. And last but not least, I have two pieces of mink cardstock. Now, they look totally different. It's because I bought them in 2 different years, and Close to My Heart is notorious for changing the formula ever so slightly from year to year to year. I don't know why they do this. I've never asked, but I found that it is notorious. They always tell you if you're going to buy an ink pad from them, buy the re-inker at the same time, because if you wait until you need it, then it's not going to be the same formula, which I think is weird. So this is the Goldie collection, and I actually made up my words, but it was a baby collection, and it has all these little fonts on it, but I've used up the words or the letters to make my own word. So I came up with the word royal just by picking and choosing the alphas on there. And then my other subtitle, which is the name of this or the model of the tank, it's actually mismatched numbers and letters, which I thought went really well with this type of layout. Okay, so I had no idea how I was going to put this layout together. So I'm going with my tried and true. Whenever I have 3 of the exact same orientation of photos, I always go straight across or straight up and down the page. I think it's a great filler. It helps me use less paper and is a quick design. However, I didn't like the fact that I had 2 of them. I didn't want a band of photos on this side and a band of photos on the other side. It's just not the flow I was looking for, but I had no idea what I was looking for. I knew I was going to find it as soon as I see it. But yeah, I have no idea yet. So I'm just trying to flip my papers around. I know that I want the vellum piece and the diamond print to go all on the left side. That large green piece is going to go on the right side because I just felt like it went really well with that purple that was inside of this tank. It was awesome. Now, I don't know if the Ordnance Museum hooked up like purple Christmas lights or if the tank was actually lit up purple in the, for the British. I do know that our tanks have red lights inside. Not all the time. You can actually switch between what kind of lighting you want to put on: green light, red light, and then of course your regular yellow white light. But for this one, I'm not sure. I honestly, I hate to say it, but I can't remember what the gentleman said, because it was kind of a quick overview, because they weren't really ready to show this unit off, in all honesty. So it was very brief of what it was. You could tell they were super excited to have it in their garage, but it just wasn't show ready yet. So once I finally figured out a design, I am going to use my vellum piece as a photo mat for all of these photos. Now, the piece that I had wasn't quite 6 inches, so I do have to trim off a little bit. And then as for my third purple photo, I am going to trim it down where I did trim it down. I trimmed them all off camera, down to about 5 inches, so that way the vellum piece and everything just fit, and it didn't go all the way across the page. I just wanted to leave a little gap over there, kind of like the green paper was ripped and you saw the diamond print underneath it. So I kind of wanted the photo to overlap the rip, but not go all the way across the page. It was just too clean of a line for me. So now that I've got everything all situated, I have my camo print ripped the way that I want it, so that way I have a little bit of green on each side. I have a little bit of browny rust on each side. And a little bit of that vellum on each side. I was super happy with how this layout is coming along. So I tried to cut my my vellum piece and my diamond print. I was trying to cut those to where they met in the middle, but the seam isn't seamless. So that's where the ripped camouflage, sorry, I keep forgetting what the names of all these things are, you guys. So that's where the ripped camouflage comes in place, because if it's ripped and imperfect, then you don't see the flaws as much as you would have if you wanted it to be seamless. So I enjoy projects like this where I don't have to be perfect. I really do, which is most of my, to be honest, which is most of my scrapbooking, but sometimes I do want it to be just right. So I'm going to go ahead and put this right on the border. I thought I was going to tuck it underneath the vellum, and then I realized that it's vellum and I don't want green vellum, and I can't make that green go all the way across the vellum. So I'm just going to butt it up against the seam that, again, was not perfect. And part of that is that cutter pillar, you guys. I feel like it cuts wonky, almost like when the blade rotates across, and everybody's told me it's because I'm not holding the blade up against the cutter. I am, you guys. I'm leaning it up against the cutter. I'm going as slow as I possibly can. I mean, I've tried everything, and I still feel like I get a wavy line rather than a nice, crisp, perfect line. But with my kind of scrapbooking and the fact that I rip and tear and grunge it up anyways, I'm dealing with it. If I didn't want a cutter that cut wonky, in all honesty, and I still have not found a cutter that meets my fancy. I do not like the big giant plastic grid that is on the cutter pillar or the Tim Holtz cutters. I just am not a fan of it. I want a grid that is like this guillotine cutter. That's the kind of grid that I love, but I don't like Fiskars cutters. And they seem to be the ones that have this style. Or if I found another one, then it is just ginormously huge and does not fit on my desk or in my little cubby where I keep my cutters. So it's a personal preference and a workspace convenience is what it is. So I appreciate the, when everybody tells me, oh, try this cutter, try that cutter. I do appreciate the suggestions. It's just the fact that I have a space for a cutter, and of course a preference for the grid on the cutter. And so I haven't found my happy medium yet, you guys, and I'm fine with that. I will use what I have because that's what I do. But until then, I'm going to complain about the wonky cut. So I wanted to keep the gears that were inside this particular Tim Holtz paper. And of course, they're right smack square in the middle of this paper. Who does that? So I took my X-Acto knife and cut it up, used the rest of it to map my photo, and then I have this gap that is going to be in the center of my photo mat when I butt the photos up together on the paper. So I have to figure out, do I want to offset it so that way I can overlap them and cover up the gap? Or do I want, to put them, because this isn't the design I wanted. I wanted them stacked on top. That way you've got 3 photos going into 2 photos going into 1 photo. I wanted to stack them on top of each other. But with that gap, oh my goodness, it was very visible, unlike what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little bit more blendy-in-y. And it's not. So I'm going to take some of my scrap of this paper and see if I can't cover up the gap with a little bit of scraps. I just can't not cover up the gap. And actually this little exercise was well worth it because it does end up covering it up. I don't notice it anymore. And it blends in what I think seamlessly compared to the rest of the layout. I just think it's great, you guys. And I'm glad I did it. Really am. So I'm going to cover up a little bit of gap with a little bit of, it's not a gap, it's just where it wasn't glued down, with a little bit of washi tape. Not that it was going to bother me, because it is going to be well protected in the middle of my photos. It's not going to get snagged on anything, but it was, I don't know. It just felt like it was weak right there. So I just added a little bit of washi to the back of the photo, and that's it. So that is the perfect fix to a gap in my photo mat. All right, so I'm going to take this twine. Again, it came from my cute little envelope that Susan made me for my birthday. I want to say 2022. Might have been even 2023 or 2021 that she made this for me. And I apologize, Susan. I put it in that scrap box, the black hole of a scrap box, and it disappeared. And I mean, just like a lot of things disappeared in that scrap box. So I'm super glad that I've been going through this exercise of cleaning it out for the month of January. I'm super happy with how it's going. And I'm just thrilled that I took on this exercise. I really am, you guys. I don't feel like it was a chore at all. It was just great. And I get to I'm using up a lot of stuff from Susan's envelope on this page, and I love it. I love how they all just matched. These numbers on this little scrap of paper were actually orange, so it worked well when I bring in this orange film strip. I mean, it just was meant to be. It really was. I love the gray blue of the curly Q paper clips. Those were absolutely perfect as well. I mean, I could not ask for a better pairing for this page. Plus the fact, and they match the 49 and Market tickets that I'm going to bring in here a little later as well. But I just couldn't ask for a better match. And to add a little bit more to this layout. I mean, they really do help bring into this layout. It really does. And I'm glad I cleaned off a couple of my trays that were sitting on my desk. So I have a laptop that sits on a little riser over on the left of me. So that way, when I am scrap lifting someone, I can pull it up and have it sitting right there. And have a quick reference. Well, underneath that riser, I have a tray for small little, what are they called? Foam pieces, so that way they don't get lost. And then, of course, my favorite is twine, a needle, just in case I get a glue clog, things like that, just little tiny pieces that I didn't want to get lost. Well, then I ended up with another tray, and that particular tray ended up with a bunch of one-off embellishments, like the Dusty Attic chipboard star, my wooden star, this patch, all the little things, that leather piece that says the word strong, which I thought was perfect for this layout, all those little pieces. And look, now they're getting used up because they were sitting right there, and I just cleaned off that little tray. It was perfect. So my title might not be politically correct. I know that they're not called, the Royal Army, but I'm going to title this the Royal Army. Well, not but Royal Army Strong is what I'm going to do, because here in America, we've got a saying that just is Army Strong. It has just become one of the sayings, one of the catchphrases for one of our military branches. Now, I don't know if the Royal Army, I've heard of Royal Navy before, but I don't know if the Royal Military has different branches, Navy, Air Force. I'm pretty sure they do. I just don't know if they all start with the word royal. And so for me, I'm just guessing here, and I really do like how these words mesh together. I really do. I like the Royal Army Strong. I just thought it was absolutely kind of cool to blend in and make my American stickers work for a British tank. Okay, toot my own horn. I thought it was clever. All right, that's all there is to it. So, and I finally get to use up this last little leather piece that I didn't know what I was going to use it for. And this right here being the color that I needed, I mean, it was perfect, you guys. And it was just sitting on a tray, not going anywhere. It was like meant to be. All these little stars. I love the variation of stars because I have a chipboard star, a fabric star, and a wood star. And I really do kind of like that. In all honesty, I don't know. I just fell in love with all these little mishmashed things. I found a great use for all this orange twine. It ties in all the orange that I'm trying to bring in, the orange that's in the rust paper. I mean, it's just a good combination of miscellaneous products that I found cleaning my room. I mean, good girl, Oh, that was bad. So I'm going to finish up this little cluster, and I had to make this little cluster because the rip in the green paper was just slightly too much for my 1.5-inch diamond print paper. It was just a little bit too much, so I had to do something up there, which I'm glad I did because I think it's a cute little eye drawer up at the top. So over here is where I was going to put my subtitle, which I know my subtitle is going to be larger than my actual title, which I think I switched it. I think I ended up switching it to where this is my title and then the Royal Army is my subtitle, which I guess it doesn't really matter in the long run. But this is the model of the tank, and I had to surf the internet and basically go off of this lower picture here of the tracks to find the model. Oh my stars, you guys, the British Army or the British military, they have a lot of tanks. I'm just saying, this was fun to research and go through, and I think it looks like this, but not really. There's a few things that are different, and I think it looks like that. I mean, there's so much data on these tanks. It was great. It was a fun dive into the internet. In all honesty, I had a blast trying to find even just the model number of this particular tank. That's all I was basically looking for. And I found out a lot more of this. I found out that this was the very last tank to be named after I don't know exactly what they call it, but like a Christian name or a religious name, which is the word Abbot. So it was the very last tank to get a name like that. Now they're all just a number. This one is the third in its series. So it's the FV433, which is the predecessor of 432. So they actually took a lot of inspiration from 432 to build the 433. And it said that it made it easier for them to quickly mass produce these. Now, they made 245 of these units as is, and then they made a bunch of training units as well. So the guys could go and take them out into their play fields and train with them without them actually being a live unit. The really cool part about the gunnery on this unit is that it took a lot of models from previous tanks, so that way they didn't go to waste. So all the ammunition has to be specific for guns. And the problem with the 32 model was that it was too slow as far as the firing speed and the rotation speed of the gunnery, all that good stuff. And so they wanted to up the game by making it just a little bit faster. And so, like I said, they took what was good from the 32, put it back into the 33, and then ended up changing out the armory on it. And that way, the genius behind this, which I apologize, I don't remember his name, the genius behind this thought, well, why can't we take the weaponry that we had from this previous one and that previous one and the previous one before that? I mean, there was like 6 or 7 rounds that fit inside this, which is unheard of, unusual. But as long as the diameter is the same and the length is the same, why not, right? It can happen. It really can. So this particular model was built back in 1958, and I just thought that was pretty cool. It was a little after the well, I don't know about that, but it's actually called a self-propelled gun instead of a tank. So it's an SPG is what the numbers are after the Abbot. I just didn't have the SP and G. So I left those off. I just thought it was really, really cool. And actually, it's called the Royal Artillery, you guys. So I apologize for having a faux pas on my layout. I really do. It is my fault entirely. But I really did think that it was, it's called an after monks is what it was. This was the last one that that was, wait, let me see. While I'm showing you guys this. It's the last gun to be named in the British tradition after a religious title. That's what it is. So I thought that was pretty interesting to find out. But in all honesty, the story behind this is so huge. I just did not have enough time to enjoy and share that information with you guys. So I wanted to get out a little bit of tips. And then, of course, if you want to look up the FV433, or I can link the link down below if you want a good read, because I really enjoyed it. I don't really get a good opportunity to look up foreign equipment. I just never think to do it unless I go to a museum and see a reason to. And I apologize about that. That's really bad. But I did enjoy this. I enjoyed finding out how many they actually had. That was crazy. Oh, completely crazy. All right. So it's over. That's it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, you guys. I really, truly appreciate it. I had fun trying to figure out how all these pieces were going to go together. I had a blast trying to figure out my design and how it was going to work really well with my photos. I mean, this was fun. It really, really was. I love taking a puzzle and putting it together and seeing it come to life and actually liking what came out of the results. So anyways, this is for Baby Got Scraps, which means that I have a huge list down below for all the links of all the wonderful people creating during this month. Now, not everybody is creating every day, like I'm not creating every day. But if you go and check in on them every now and then, you might find a couple surprises and a couple new videos going on. So it's just great seeing everybody and all their scraps and what they're doing with them. Are they going through all of their what's the word? like leftover embellishments as well and trying to get them to fit like I am? Or are they trying to just dig into that ginormous embellishment stash? I don't know about you guys, but I have way more embellishments than I do paper, like at all. I don't know how that happened. It a couple years ago, it used to be the reverse, but who knows? So anyways, yeah, don't forget to check out all those links down below to see, just awesome ways to use your scraps, you guys. Awesome. And I will check you guys all later. Thanks.